Once again, we are back with another live edition, man. Shout out once again to my man Nazar, the video footage, AOH. He hit me up, man. We doing impromptu live for y'all because this is what we do over here. And my man AOH hit me up, wanted to talk about the Kevin Durant comments. So I said, yeah, why not? Let's do a live. We're only going to be here for about 30 minutes or so. So let my man AOH kick it off. You guys know the deal, man. Let's roll.
Okay, listening to you gets me a little bit amped up. I didn't listen to this particular one until early this afternoon, and something stood out to me. I'm sure you'll rant about it again. You'll help everyone who didn't hear understand. But I was confused for the longest time until I understood that it was Kevin Durant who said, "Take that grown man's D out of your mouth." I thought the fan said that. The fact that Kevin Durant said that just puts it in a whole new category. I mean, where does Kevin Durant, who actually has LeBron's D in his mouth, get off saying that to someone else?
Yep.
Now from there, the rest of the rant that you had about saying despicable things and despicable fans and despicable behavior and being consistent, you don't get to celebrate KD for saying stupid crap, and you don't get to jump on that bandwagon just because you don't like LeBron. That kind of reminded me of, Jordan still acknowledges Isaiah's ability as a basketball player, but he doesn't like him as a person. Consistency. But you don't grab onto anything anyone says just because you also don't like that person. It needs to have some sort of context. It needs to have some sort of solidity to it. But again, back to me having the aha moment listening to you, in which I finally understood that it was KD who turned to a fan and said, "Take that grown man's D out of your mouth."
Yep.
Catch people up. I mean, some people are asking in the comments what KD said. Well, I just said it. That's what KD said.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
What made you, what in particular made you go off on that today?
Well, I told you to me.
Maybe the fact that Kevin Durant isn't playing again.
Well, I think that might be the biggest problem here. What you just brought up, AOH. The fact that you're not even playing in the game. And I titled my video earlier, Kevin Durant has energy for LeBron fans, but not for LeBron James. So in that moment, like you're saying, you're not playing the game. You sat at a playoff game and you're being heckled. All right, let's understand. Let's come to an understanding here. All right, these guys don't appreciate being heckled by the fans. And one of the main reasons why they don't appreciate being heckled by the fans is because they don't respect us. They don't respect the fans. It's not about what people say. I've said people say weird, disgusting things that I would never say. I would never say these things to people, ever. I would never speak this way. But I've said there's no such thing as a professional fan. Fans are not paid to be there and cheer. They actually pay to be there. So again, when you talk about Kevin Durant, you're not even on the game, on the court in the game, and someone says something to you. My problem was that off the jump, you're not even playing and you want to talk. It was similar to a couple of years ago when Pat Riley came out and told Jimmy Butler to shut up, talking trash when he wasn't even playing in the series. It's like, dude, if you're not going to get on the court and compete, you shouldn't be talking. And like you said off the jump, AOH, who really has whose quote-unquote D in whose mouth here? Because we've seen Kevin Durant act a certain way. Wasn't Kevin Durant himself on the LeBron James podcast not that long ago, sipping wine like a feminine, soft dude? So again, it calls into question Kevin Durant.
Yes, it does. Now, you just mentioned something else that had my brain churning while I was listening to you about the behavior of fans, what's appropriate behavior, whether fans should be respected or respectable. And I got to admit to you, if I got courtside to a Laker game that LeBron was playing, I'm going to yell bitch at him just to see if the trigger works the way that I think it will. Because that guy can't handle shit. I mean, I got to see what happens.
You know what's gonna happen? Wait, they're gonna point at you and they're gonna get you removed up out the arena. That's exactly what would happen if you were in that scenario. You know, remember I told you guys a story one time about how I went to a New Jersey Nets game. My wife surprised me with tickets a long time ago, and we went to a New Jersey Nets game. And I told the story about how when we got there, we asked the attendant where our seats were. And I couldn't believe how close to the court I was sitting. I told my wife, I was like, I can't believe this how close we are. I told you I saw Jay-Z there. I saw Darryl Dawkins there. I was right
Wow.
there. The players came out the tunnel, and I was able to stick my hand out and slap hands with some of the players. The New Jersey Nets were coming out the tunnel. That's how close I was. And I never once thought to myself, you know what? Let me heckle Tim Duncan because they were playing the San Antonio Spurs that night. Let me heckle Tim Duncan, or let me go out here and say some crazy to one of the San Antonio Spurs. Let me say some crazy to Jay-Z so I can get some attention from somebody. I never thought that. And I do appreciate people going to games and getting and rooting for their team, because I do that all the time, man. I'll root for the team and I'll get loud at a game. However, I've told you, I would never put myself in a scenario where I either have to defend myself against somebody else or I have to worry about being ejected when I paid money for a damn ticket. So the sensitiveness of these players, that's what would happen there, Wage.
Mm-hmm. All right. And there's a difference between just trying to draw attention to yourself. A lot of people talk now because it's about them, maybe some social media attention, but like I just to complete the social experiment, I got to know what would happen. I think everyone in the comments is already nailing it, and you nailed it. He'll just have me removed. He might give me some sort of a crazy look as if he would ever do anything, but he won't do anything.
You know what's funny though, AOH, that you say that, because this is how the quote unquote professional athletes are today. Whereas back in the day, I mean, these guys would get heckled. People would say things to them, right? They would do all kinds of things to these players too. Remember, these have signs in the arenas, you know, about Michael Jordan, the gambling, and other players. They would say things too. Those guys did not let that bother them. They did not acknowledge these people. So again, it really gave the fan no power in that instance. What we're talking about, like you said, triggering, you know, either LeBron James or Kevin Durant, you know, one of these guys with this kind of language, that's the difference between the pros today and the pros of the past. They actually do take this stuff personally. They do get triggered. We know Kevin Durant is sensitive. It's been proven. And again, we go back to the fact that you're on the sideline sitting at a playoff game with a knee contusion versus your quote-unquote rival. So again, whose D is in whose mouth here, fool? You got nerve to say like this, something, say that to somebody. And again, a part of the problem that I had, or one of the major problems I had also, was the actual wordage that he used. And like I said, to me, this is disgusting comments. I actually asked my wife if she would ever, like, what she would think if I was ever out somewhere in public, because let's not, you know, forget that Kevin Durant was in a public forum when he said these words, and we talk about potentially children being around you or other women being around you, senior citizens, like I said in my video, people's mamas is out there, man, and here you are, a mama's boy, using that kind of language. It's, like I said, to me, it's cringe as hell.
Yeah, several things. I had 3 points I want to talk about there. Let's see if I can remember at least one of them. One, the guys in the past, like actually played hard. They left it all out there. They could feel better about themselves. So I imagine that helps it be a little bit easier to take heckling. Two is another thing that you mentioned. These guys never growing up. And I think I talked about the fact that the NBA on ESPN said, we've watched LeBron and KD grow up before our eyes over these years. I was like, neither of them have grown up. What are you talking about? They've gotten bigger and they've gotten older. They have not grown up. So back to Kevin Durant not playing and getting heckled. You got to wonder if that makes it harder, because you're sitting there being a bitch and someone's calling you. I don't know what the fan said, but It's got to be something along those lines. And, you know, if he'd actually been out there and balled and played well, or what if he didn't like have a great game, but he at least played his ass off? I would think it would be a little bit easier to shrug off heckling. You know, it's confidence. It's called self-security, something that neither LeBron nor Kevin Durant have. So I can't say that I'm surprised. that Kevin Durant talked back to the fans. I mean, LeBron James is talking to fans looking for validation, and he's supposed to be the GOAT.
Right.
You have a super from Siberius that went by a while ago, and I have one from Brawny Needs More Help. Here, let me read the Brawny Needs More Help one. Thank you for the supers. This is a shameless beg for supers on my channel because I'm hurting. Spoiled ass kids ruining the family business their fathers built into a global brand, mirroring U.S. society. Soft times makes men soft. Yeah, I bit my tongue, Robin, but we don't exactly have people setting very good examples all the way to the top with the things that they say in front of the camera. It's like, goddamn, you can think one thing, but somebody somewhere along the hierarchy needs to at least fake it in a more respectable manner. At least fake it for the rest of us. And these
right.
NBA fans are indeed a mirror image of how badly things are.
Exactly. Shout to I think we lost LH for a second here. I'm sure he'll pop back. Shout to Daniel Looney for coming through with the super. I am 40. I have seen greatness. These people are not. No, you right. Shout out to Daniel Looney, because when we talk about LeBron James and Kevin Durant and this fake rivalry that they've tried to sell us over the years, you're on the money. This is not greatness. This is not competitiveness. And even the trash talk is lame to me. Kevin Durant saying the things that he said, that to me is not genuine great trash talk in, the essence of what trash talk should be when we're talking about playing sports. Talking about private parts and, this, like I said, this is to me is weird trash talk. Again, if someone said something to Kevin Durant and he had he felt the need to say something back, hey, listen, I get it, man. You know what I'm saying? But it's what you're saying, how you're saying this stuff. It doesn't, like I said, first of all, the position that Kevin Durant has put himself in by sitting out the game with this weak ass excuse, it really doesn't afford you the ability to talk to people, to say anything back. Like if you're in a situation, a scenario where you have to, put your head down like an ostrich, so to speak, in the sand, and just shut up and hope that you can get back on the court. And like I said, when you talk about, of the interactions, shout out to the real Siberius, because he's talking about, I am a foul mouth, I can't deny it. However, there is a time and a place, and in public is not the time or place. His actions are abhorrent, have decorum. And that's what I'm talking about. The time and place for this stuff. Now, you guys know on this channel, I don't do a lot of cursing, and I don't have a problem with anybody using foul language. Like I said, my father cursed at me a lot when I was growing up. You know what I'm saying? I had a lot of foul language from my father. I told you, I've never heard my mother curse. She's never used foul language. But I've never once told you guys that I do not curse in my life. I use curse words when it's appropriate, when there's a time to use curse words. But I don't use curses on here, on the channel, on the videos. Now, you guys know I've slipped up maybe, I don't know, 3, 4, maybe 5 times or so in the course of the 4,000 videos that I've made on YouTube in the 4 years that I've been here. So I'm not above cursing, and I'm not saying that cursing is beneath me, but I chose not to curse on the channel in the videos because there's no need for it. Like sometimes I've told you guys, I'd love to get out of here and say some crazy stuff, man, because I feel that it needs to be said this way, right? To really hit home, right? My point. But ultimately, the language that I use, or the language I choose not to use, right? I don't feel that my channel's lacking because I need to use language here and there. And I don't knock anyone, like my man, the real Siberius, and others, my man, AOH, the Two Raws, and anyone that uses language to describe or to, like I said, have to spread their opinion and their thoughts. The things that Kevin Durant said, I would never say something like that, even like I said, in the privacy of my own home or talking to my friends or in a casual conversation. These kinds of words would never come out of my mouth. When I worked in the jail for all those years, my man AOH is back on the screen. There were certain words that even the inmates in the jail would not allow you to say to them. All right, and there are certain things that you just didn't say. And referring to your genitalia in that regard, telling another grown man to S your D or to do something like this, you're going to get into a physical altercation with one of those guys in that scenario. I'm telling you right now. So we have to understand this kind of stuff. What's up, man? Can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you see me? Is everything working?
Yeah, I can see you and I hear you.
I don't know what happened. My entire screen went black. Boy, they really want me gone. This is my fair. I think this is my farewell tour, everybody.
As soon as you got a super, they cut you out.
Oh man, I don't even know what to say anymore. Yeah, I could cut down on my cursing because at first it was funny. I was supposed to be the angry old hoops guy, but behavior leads to habits, and now I cuss too often.
Yeah, but like I said, man, what you do, it works for you, right? We all do what works for us. So, like I said, Kevin Durant in this scenario, and you said, you wanted to talk about this kind of stuff and the comments that he makes, it's about, once again, your reputation preceding you, right? We talked about this before. Kevin Durant has a reputation of saying things to the fans over the years. This is not a one-off. This isn't like, oh man, Kevin Durant was in a bad mood. He's upset because he's dealing with the injury and he said something crazy to somebody. Kevin Durant has said all kinds of crazy, disgusting things. And in my video, I mentioned something earlier. I mentioned something about his mother and how his mother came out to defend him when Stephen A. Smith was saying that he made the weakest move. Stephen A. Smith never used foul language to describe Kevin Durant. He never, took personal shots at him. He talked about the move he made as a basketball player. And his mother felt the need to come on ESPN. And not only did they allow her to come on ESPN, she made Stephen A. Smith apologize. And this man obliged. I'd have told that woman to be like, listen, lady, I respect you coming on here and I respect you. But I'm not apologizing for the facts. But Stephen A. Smith felt the need to apologize to this woman. So I've said in the video, where's Kevin Durant's mama at now? Where's his mama all the years that he's been saying disgusting things on Twitter? You have no energy to come out and be like, listen, this is not how I raised you, Kevin. You're better than this. Why would you talk to people like this? This is the same fool that was crying at his MVP award ceremony because his mom had to go through so much to get him there. That's what you say in that moment. If my mother heard me say something like this in a public forum like that, she would be disgusted with me.
Yeah. One, it would be one thing for Stephen A. Smith to have at least stuck with it and had her on to say her piece and then still be like, sorry, I don't agree with you. But I'm going to go further. Not everybody deserves to come on and speak their mind just because their feelings are hurt. Everybody's feelings fucking get hurt. And it was a weak move. I can't say that I regret it because I don't want to see everyone else just stand aside while LeBron cheats his ass to more rings. And there's no way that's weaker than what LeBron did. It was weak, but I don't think it's weaker than LeBron's Miami move. Nevertheless, I got to tell you, it's different. Can you imagine how different it would be to talk to a player like Xavier McDaniel than to Kevin Durant? Like I wouldn't call Xavier McDaniel a bitch. I'd call LeBron a bitch. I wouldn't call Xavier McDaniel a bitch.
And right, and that goes back to the reputation that we were talking about that the players have earned over the years. They have the reputation of being soft and sensitive. So you could trigger somebody and you're not worried about triggering LeBron James or Kevin Durant. I'm worried about LeBron James or any of these guys because, once again, what have you shown me? LeBron James and Kevin Durant, these guys have shown us that they're frail, that they're sensitive. They're going to fall down. They're going to get hurt. We know LeBron James is going to flop as soon as you touch him. So why would we be concerned? But we've seen from the players in the past, the professionals, someone like an Xavier McDaniel or any of those guys back in the day, those are grown men. See, that's the thing. Grown men give you the grown man energy, and you respect the grown man for what he might do. If you disrespect him, if he's not doing something that would make you cause or that kind of reaction. When we talk about the Mouse of the Palace, for example, and I saw someone talk about the Mouse in the Palace and the fan interactions and how the relations between the fans have, taken a hit since then. I've said it many, many times on my channel. The Mouse at the Palace was all on the fans, man. That was all on the fans. Whether or not Ron Artest is a weird dude or, an a-hole if you don't like Ron Artest or whatever the case may be, the interaction, what was going on between Ben Wallace and Ron Artest or the Indiana Pacers and the Detroit Pistons between the players, I've always said on my channel, I don't care what anyone says to you in the stands. I don't care if they throw racial epithets at you. They talk about killing your family. They talk about your mom. I don't care about none of that stuff. If they're talking to you, if they're saying things. But I've always said, and I've stated, and I'll always stand on it, if anyone spits on me, anyone does anything physically to you, like throw a freaking soda on you, if someone does something like that to you, All bets are off, and then you must be prepared to defend yourself. So, in the moment that happened in that instance, so fan threw something at the players. All bets are off after that. However, these guys react, whatever happens to you, that's on you, man.
Yeah, and you know what? It was a good enough show already. Just enjoy watching Ben Wallace and Meta World Peace. Isn't that enough? Although I can understand why people had had enough of Meta World Peace, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I've got a super from Bronny Needs More Help again, but I see you've got one up on the screen. Okay, let's deal with it. I know you can't wait to read this.
Well, I didn't even really want to talk about this because I shout out to Young Ace 21. I don't know if you're calling on behalf of coming in behalf of LeBron James. Are you going to call Jokic for flopping and passing a late game shot like LeBron last night? I mean, listen, when we talk about what Jokic and happened with the Denver Nuggets, it was a team collapse there by the Denver Nuggets. And what we talked about, what I've talked about this season, the Denver Nuggets defense is ultimately what holds them back during these playoff runs. When you give up a run like that, I mean, when I look at the game, when I turned it off, the Nuggets were up by 19 in the first quarter or something like that. So, I mean, you talk about, it's early in the game, but Jokic, Murray, these guys didn't come through at the end. So, to me, I never thought of Nikola Jokic as a clutch time shooter. So passing up a last second shot or Jamal Murray being known or recognized as the late game performer on the Nuggets, like I said, to me, it was a team collapse there on the Nuggets, and they're in trouble, man, going back to Minnesota.
Yeah, I watched early on. There was a huge lead, and then I did watch, and again, I'm not defending Jokic because obviously the entire team must have played shitty to lose that lead. But he went to the bench and there was an 11-0 run by the Timberwolves, which was kind of surprising because the Timberwolves didn't even look very good during that 11-0 run. And then Brown, who usually dunks, misses an easy layup. And I was just like, boy, this is falling apart. And I can't watch games. I can't watch full games. Us sitting through most of that Laker game is about as long as I can hold still. So I didn't see the whole collapse, but I'm not in any position to defend anyone.
I mean, listen, like I've said before on my channel, the problem with a lot of people today is how they promote the guys historically. They promote a lot of these guys as the greatest of all time. I told you, Stan Van Gundy said the Jokic is the greatest player of all time. I mean, this is laughable stuff here. You got people calling Nikola Jokic a greater offensive player than Michael Jordan. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous where we've gotten in the NBA right now with talk. I just talked, I did a video earlier about AOH and the thing I saw what you did with Ron Harper calling Sky Pippen the greatest small forward of all time. I mean, where are we going in basketball talk? This stuff doesn't make any sense. I just posted a screenshot of a clip that I just saw from Kendrick Perkins like 20 minutes before we came on the air, on the live, that he said that Victor Wembanyama is the greatest defensive player that he's ever seen. He's ever seen. This is where we're going already. Now, does Victor Wembanyama have potential? Absolutely, but we're calling him the greatest defensive player you've ever seen. You never saw Tim Duncan before. You never saw Kevin Garnett. You never saw Ben Wallace. You never saw any of these guys. None of those guys are close to Victor Wembanyama, man, really, after his third season in the weakest era of all time. So, again, it's the promotion. These guys playing a weak-ass era. Nikola Jokic's numbers are all down the playoffs the same way they were last year. So, again, when we talk about going 1 for 7 from the three-point line, that's not Nikola Jokic-esque, but that's what he's doing out there in the playoffs, missing a lot of these shots that he makes in the regular season. The turnovers are
just
up.
calm down. You don't have to anoint people so fast. I mean,
right.
like
exactly
the people that you listed, nobody immediately gave them, oh wow, this is the best defensive player we've ever seen until the next one came. No, you waited until they built up. It's like, okay, we've seen this guy for a decade doing amazing things. We can start to be pretty impressed by his defense. But like this, I mean, what season was Ant-Man in when they started comparing him to Jordan?
Yeah, that was like, what is the second, third season in the league?
Yeah.
Go ahead, hit up Bronny Needs More Help.
Dirtbags do dirtbag things. The only surprise is that we continue to be surprised. Well, I'm pretty sad to say I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, but we're not going to just sit here and let it keep happening without people at least hearing the voices of reason. We're here so you guys don't think that you're alone and going insane, and that there will be some documented side of this, just in case anything turns around whatsoever. There were a few people out there. There was the resistance. Stopping the lies, stopping the narratives.
I mean, yo, and wait, I mean, you just said it perfectly, man. I love the word you used right there, the resistance. I like how that sounds because I automatically thought of the movie Terminator, and I
If
thought
you're
about the
listening,
resistance.
you are the resistance.
That's right. That's it, man. We're the resistance against the machines. Because if you think about it, it's all bots out there. These people are bots. Their personality is a bot personality. They repeat and repeat the same things over and over again like bots do. So yes, we're fighting up against the rise of the machines, the rise against the narrative rewriters, the guys who once again try to lie and create all these, weird scenarios about past eras and tearing down the players. I have no problem with a lot of the players today. I've never once said that Nikola Jokic wasn't great. Never once said I didn't respect his MVPs or his career or his championship. None of this stuff. I've told you guys I don't respect someone like LeBron James, but I've told you I respect a lot of these players, man. A lot of these current players. I've talked about Victor Wembanyama on here. All right. The problem is, I told you, the promotion and how they that takes away from the past players. When you start talking about Victor Wembanyama as a unanimous, defensive player of the year, and they keep promoting it that way, the first unanimous. Why do you think that was? Because the other eras had great competition for that award. So nobody was just going to get it unanimously because there were so many great defensive players that were vying for the award. So Victor Wembanyama being a unanimous MVP is great for him, but really all that does is highlight how weak the competition is, man. That's really all it does. It doesn't take away from Victor Wembanyama. That's the facts, man. All right,
Well,
that's just the truth.
Let me add to that. It's not surprising that he might be a runaway or that there's a little competition because what's the other thing that Wemby was praised for? Being just about the only guy interested in trying at the All-Star game. This is the NBA now. This is the NBA now. And as the real Siberius pointed out, it's nothing. It's not even anything to be proud of at this point in a league that doesn't really have defense. Being the best player of any kind in the weakest era ever isn't a flex. Defensive player of the year, who cares in this no defense era? Ant is a hack. Stop the hype train. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you see the comment on the screen?
8-minute dunk highlight reel from LeBron this season at 41.
You know what's funny about that comment? And
I already know what every dunk. I already know what all the dunks look like. He's alone. He's alone, except for that one where he committed the offensive foul on that guy on the Spurs, and then needed to get off on it and just screamed in his face for a couple of minutes. But other than that, I'm wide open and doing the exact same shit over and over and over again. Transition points, James.
I was going to say, how much video have you put out of LeBron James blowing his hands and wiping his chest? So if there's an 8-minute dunk highlight reel of LeBron James this season, how long is the reel of LeBron James wiping his hands and wiping his chest and blowing his hands? That reel's got to be way longer than that.
I think from one game, I was getting close to 8 minutes.
One game. How long is the reel of LeBron James not making across half court? How long is that reel? How long is the reel of LeBron James missing and breaking up all these free throws? In season 23 at age 41, this man still can't shoot free throws after 23 years of shooting free throws? Come on, man.
I don't have enough storage to edit a highlight reel of that or a low light reel of LeBron not getting across the court.
Oh, man, this is crazy right now. A lot of love for Bron. Look at this, man. I'll tell you right now. This is some crazy stuff right now. A lot of love for Bron from Italy. Come on, Italy. Y'all got to do better than this, man. My grandmama from Italy. Don't be representing LeBron James out there.
Boo.
Come on, Italy. You're better than that. Goodness gracious.
Dallas. Hey, what's up, Dallas? Y'all are so on point. These guys just overanalyze everything. Speaking of overanalyzing, thank you, Dallas. That's going to allow me to rant. Kind of going back to this person who was getting off on LeBron being able to dunk. Guys, you've been brainwashed into thinking humans aren't physically capable of anything past a certain age because of the LeBron James hype. There is nothing weird about a 6'9" athlete. Understand, this is not a regular 6'9" person off the street. This is a professional athlete who is also 6'9", and he's only 41. Guys, I run 3 times a day, lift weights, play sports, and I'm 50 fucking 2, and I'm not an athlete by most people's standards. Stop acting like it's a crazy thing to do. If he was jumping over people that were actually trying to knock him out of the air the way it used to be, maybe. The dude has an open runway. Either he's cherry picking and alone, or people literally get out of the way. I mean, it blows my mind to say this, but I'm not lying when I say I put out footage of the other team apparently screening other players and making a wide open lane for LeBron James. I mean,
wide open.
I mean, when the opposition is helping you get to the rim, what sport are we watching? How can you be proud of somebody? He could have 30 dunks a game, and if it's like that, no, not excited.
Yep. No, I mean, listen, I have nothing to add to that.
Okay, cool.
Because you just killed it right there. I mean, listen, a shout to Dallas for coming through. I mean, a lot of people send supers in, rise above anything. Shout to rise above anything. Pippen, not the greatest small forward. Ron got to knock it off.
That was weird. Where did that come from? And what about him saying that Scotty controlled the game at both ends? Who's ever even said that before? Has anyone said that before? Am I alone in thinking that this is just out of nowhere?
See, you know what happens here, and this is my problem. This is what I was referring to in the Kevin Durant video when people were bigging up Kevin Durant for saying the disgusting stuff because he was saying it to a LeBron James fan, and you know, people were saying that they deserve that, and I get all that, but it's still a disgusting thing and a weird thing to say, no matter who you're saying it to. But this is what we're saying. When you talk about Ron Harper, I get it, man. He's trying to throw shade at LeBron James by saying that Pippen's greater than LeBron James and having, LeBron James ranked number 2. But really, all you're doing is throwing shade at Larry Bird, throwing disrespect on Elgin Baylor, throwing disrespect at John Havlicek, Rick Barry and Dominique Wilkins, all the small forwards that we all know, Dr. J, that are greater than Scottie Pippen. That's all you're doing, Ron Harper. You're not throwing shade on LeBron James, man. So again, I don't get why you would say this if you think that Scottie Pippen is maybe like one of your best friends or one of your good friends and you want to give Scottie Pippen some credit and big him up. I get that. Then say that if you had a starting 5, then Pippen would be in your all-time starting 5. I respect that because Scottie Pippen's in my all-time starting 5. So again, that's fine. But to once again attach all time and say that Scottie Pippen is the greatest small forward of all time, and like you said, Airways, the way you explain it is by Scottie Pippen can play all 5 positions on offense and defense, he said. On offense and defense? Ron, my man, what are we doing?
Yeah, and dude, how come Harper couldn't get Pippen's name out of his mouth? It was almost like he was. Did you notice? He's like, I think I have to have at number 1 Scotty Pippen. It's like, are you being forced to say what you're saying, or do you actually not know your former teammate's name? It was weird. It was weird.
Well, let's not forget and understand that Ron Harper has a speech impediment. He has a bad stuttering problem. And I talked about that in my video.
Is that what that was?
Well, that was what you saw, some of that in that video there. And I talked about that in my video because I watched a documentary on Ron Harper a while ago and talked about the stuttering. And the reason why I remember it so well is because I talked about in the video also, my best friend in high school had a stuttering problem. And we played on the basketball team together. We played on the football team together. And he stuttered really heavily. There were certain letters that he would always be stuck on. And we used to laugh at him and we would make fun of him and stuff. And we would poke fun and whatever. And I remember him talking about how sports helped him get over, people making fun of him. That's what Ron Harper talked about. The sports and being good at sports.
Well, my bad, but I got to tell you.
I wasn't saying that you were saying. I was trying to give you some context.
That was the worst part of it, though. Like, he got hung up on that worse than anything else, so it stood out to me.
Yeah, I remember my friend in high school, L's were really bad. He'd be like L's would jack him all up. So I bet P's are probably tough for Ron Harper.
Why do you
guys remember that scene from My Cousin Vinny?
Why do you have to do the impersonations? Shame on you. What are you doing?
We having fun right now. That's what we're doing. Sports and fitness rants and AOH, man. We doing our thing right now. Shout out to all you guys that can't. I know you don't have that much time, AOH. Let me know, when you have to head on out.
Let's at least read a couple more supers that
All
have
right, let's
come
read.
through.
Let's read off my man right here, Daria Burton, because he got something to say. Sports and Fitness Rants yesterday. You said Amen is known as a top defender with no defensive team awards, but he was all defensive first team last season. AOH seen Curry get locked up by him. Shout out to Daria Burton for correcting me on misspeaking in my video about Amen Thompson being called or being labeled as one of the elite defenders, like I said, and I did not believe that he had made an all-defensive team. But shout out to him for making an all-defensive team last year in, once again, the weakest defensive era. So, I mean, again, I didn't see Amen Thompson play any defense in that game against the Lakers. So, Daria Bird, I respect, like I said, you corrected me on that. But really, Amen Thompson didn't show me any defensive first team effort.
Wasn't he astonishingly disappointing in the playoffs last year?
Like I said, when they label these guys as elite defensive players in this league, I'm confused by this stuff. I heard them labeling guys like Jason Tatum elite defensive players in this era when I know he's never made an all-defensive team in his career. So again, when you're labeled as an elite defender like this guy Amen Thompson is, and then we watch him in game 1 versus the Lakers, he didn't even stick out or stand out to me. I have no memory of Amen Thompson playing a lick of defense in that game. All I saw from the Rockets is a bunch of confusion and guys not doing a damn thing out there.
Didn't I show in my breaking down of the quote-unquote assists that LeBron had, just Kennard going around Thompson like it was nothing?
Everyone was going around everybody out there. Like I said, the Rockets overall played no defense. No one played any defense out there. So again, I respect these guys, as defensive players. But again, the levels are way off. Shout out to PMR Hoops, A.K. McZuggins, for coming through. He says, media needs polarized engagement. NBA needs new markets to feel FOMO. Real fans and truth get discarded. Cheers to y'all for keeping it alive. Shout out to PMR Hoops.
Thank you. And I know you have a list of great things to point out from game 1. I got to tell you, I'm run down. I couldn't do another one about that disgusting game, but I appreciate your work. Aren't you debuting a video? Shout it out if you'd like to, if it actually launched. I didn't get a notification. This FOMO thing makes me think about another comment someone else said about in the retirement speculation yet again. And it's one thing for LeBron, who needs endless attention, to always pretend to speculate about retirement, even though he's not retiring. But I'd rather put the onus on the media, who continue to act like it's a story worth talking about. Why don't you act like men and say, God damn, this again? Leave or stay and shut up. I mean, honestly, that's what you should say at this point. Leave or stay, shut up. I mean, since he was 35, have we been hearing this fucking crap?
Exactly.
And I don't think anyone has ever thought that he is. No one thinks he's retiring this year either. So why? Don't entertain it, media. I know that's a broad term, but it's just about the entire media. So,
no, I mean you're right, and I mean, and that's the sad thing, like you said, is like the media continues to not really. I don't know, like I said, why they won't promote the NBA overall, like the history of the game, because they said that's what makes these players greater. When the players before them are being promoted as, like think about it. If we're saying, like we just said with Victor Wembanyama, if we're coming out here and saying, like, yo, Victor Wembanyama is the first unanimous Defensive Player of the Year award, and someone says, however, he was not competing against the likes of a David Robinson or a Hakeem Olajuwon, right? And you mentioned some of the great defensive players, right, that played in the era. You're not taking away from Victor Wembanyama. What you're doing, again, is you're giving perspective and context, and you're giving a highlight and spotlight on the history of the league, on other great defenders, and you're saying, yes, what he's doing is great, but we're giving you context and perspective and letting you know how great the NBA's history was. So if Victor Wembanyama wants to be recognized one day as a top 3 all-time defender or a top 5 all-time defender or the greatest defensive player of all time, then you're going to have to earn it, because there are other guys that were great too, man. And they did it for a long time at a high level against stiff competition.
We've got some great supers waiting. Let's get to some more.
Shout out to the real Siberius for coming through again. Can you read this one off, AOH?
Sure. Thank you, AOH. I am crippled with brain damage and still work out 5 days a week at 50. Stop
Crazy.
pretending that doing anything at 41 is impressive. It's not. And I'm sure you'll have something to add to this, but if you want to stay active, you better be active. Your body wants it, needs it, and will respond to it. And if you're sitting around wondering why you don't feel good, it's because you're sitting around wondering about it. Stand the fuck up.
Yep.
Take the first 5 steps. Tomorrow you take 10. Then you start jogging. Then you'll run a few miles. Don't expect a pill or your diet change. I mean, your diet change is important, but I'm talking about people ordering Grubhub hoping it's going to make them feel better on the couch. Get up. Get up, like Siberius said. He's been through some shit. And he's still going. And I'm sure you would be way worse off, Siberius, probably mentally and physically, if you weren't working out 5 days a week. So good for you, and thanks for the inspiring message.
Yeah, amen to what you just said, AOH, and shout out to the
I'm
real
fucking
side.
on it.
Yeah.
No one's doing this shit at my age.
I mean, like I said, it's funny how
I don't need self compliments. I'm impersonating LeBron. I don't
I know.
But
What's funny is like you were saying here, like on the real side beers, when you talk about LeBron James being celebrated and people celebrating him by taking away from themselves and laughing at themselves at that age. I remember JJ Redick saying, "I could barely get out of bed at age 40." Really? What's wrong with you, man? That's not good. I'm 45 years old and I pop out of bed. So I've heard guys like Richard Jefferson say similar things. Oh man, I'm 42 and I can't do anything now. I can't get up the toilet bowl, you hear guys say. And I keep thinking to myself, I understand you guys are professional athletes, so your body has taken a beating over the years and you've dealt with certain things. However, you being a professional athlete affords you greater genetics, right? Once again, greater health care, greater certain things that you have access to. So why are you guys all jacked up? Why can't you move at 42? You know why you can't? Because you're lying. You can, but you're over here trying to promote LeBron James and be like, yo, I can't do nothing, man. I don't know how LeBron James is doing this. I can't do nothing out here. This is laughable stuff when you have what the real side beers is telling you. That whole sentence right there is called inspiration.
You people who are inspired by this should be embarrassed by the fact that you have literally been influenced by what the people on TV reading a script were told to convince you to think, because you can't actually be that impressed by what you're watching. Because what do I have, Rob? An endless supply of voiceovers of what LeBron's doing at this age when he's standing there. He's standing there. He has the easiest defensive assignment, and he sits out at least half of the offensive possessions also, waiting for his big opportunity to come through and impress all the easily impressionable people. Come on, people, pull your heads out. Think for yourselves. You're not thinking for yourselves, and that should embarrass you.
Yeah. Shout out to Rise Above Anything. Thinking for yourself. That's a great way to put it, LH. Rise Above Anything says, Pip not guarding Hakeem, Ewing, Morning, Shaq. No.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, no shit. What kind of nonsense? What is Ron Harper doing? What?
I mean, and think about what that means, LH, what the Rise Above Anything is saying here. Because if Ron Harper is telling us, right, that Scottie Pippen can play all 5 positions on offense and defense, then what you're saying basically is that the guys who played center, the Hakeems, the Ewings, the Mornings, the Shaqs, they're not really that great. Because how could they be that great of centers if you have a small forward guarding you? I mean, this is ridiculous stuff, Ron Harper. Again, all you're doing is taking away from the other great players of that era. And this is what my man Dario Burton, who comes through again with the Super, a shout to you again. He says, I watched the entire Harper video, and he said Bird didn't have a position and have him top 5, which still doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Ron Harper made no sense.
I'm confused right now. Huh?
I'm so confused when Ron Harper said that I have Pippen first and then LeBron James 2. My immediate thought was I need to know Ron Harper's top 10 all time. I need to know it. And this is the Scottie Pippen's got to be in it. He's got to be in his all-time top 10. If he's the greatest small forward of all freaking time, you got to be in the all-time top 10.
So for Scottie Pippen fans out there, and I know you were one, and I used to be, but the more he opens his mouth, the more I analyze his footage, and the less of a fan I am. Do people remember Scottie playing all 5 positions? Do people actually remember instances of this in which he had to play the center for the Bulls, or I don't? Just anything other than small forward?
I mean, again,
That's a
we're
serious
taking away
question. If anyone can send me a link to a game, I will watch it.
Yeah. I mean, that would be an interesting thing if we've ever heard anyone say, listen, I think what people are forgetting, or like I said, misremembering here, is that were there times where Scottie Pippen guarded point guards, shooting guards, small forwards, maybe even perhaps switching on the power forwards from time to time? Absolutely. But Scottie Pippen never guarded centers. He never did. And again, he's not going to guard power forwards in the 90s. You're not guarding those guys for an entire game or an entire playoff series. Yeah. See, again, we're taking away from who? We're taking away from guys like Horace Grant. And what Horace Grant did for the Bulls. Listen, the funny thing about all this Pippen stuff is that Scottie Pippen, Ron Harper, these guys, they'll never mention a Horace Grant. Scottie Pippen will never big up Horace Grant, but he claims that Michael Jordan never bigged him up, which we know is BS. Michael Jordan mentioned Pippen and Grant way more than Pippen ever mentioned Grant. So if you're going to tell and sit there and say, oh, Pippen could do all this, then what was Horace Grant doing? What was Dennis Rodman doing in the second three-peat? What were they missing in the second three-peat?
I resisted bringing up Rodman to move on to a new subject, but now that you did, and I also see Vonnie brought it up, the funny thing is Rodman is actually the guy who would guard 1 through 5 and had to take on guarding the centers. Yep. And I'm sorry, Scottie would not have been as effective against a Sean Kemp or against Shaq as Rodman was. But, like you were talking about how Harper may have accidentally disrespected Dr. J or Bird, etc. He disrespected Rodman. Yeah. Like, you just... Yep. How are you giving Scottie Pippen credit for something he didn't do while also ignoring what Rodman did do? Both teammates of yours.
Exactly. And when you talk about all 5 positions, you're on the money, AOH, and I see a lot of you guys in the chat are putting out Rodman, and I promoted Rodman on my channel. You guys know that over the years, I tell you, as far as players that I've watched, to me, Dennis Rodman is the only guy that I've watched go out and guard 1 through 5 on a basketball court. And I'm not talking about for a play here or a play there. We have all watched Dennis Rodman guard some of the greatest players at every position throughout his career. He guarded the Magic Johnsons, the Michael Jordans, the Larry Birds, right? The Karl Malones, right? The Shaquille O'Neals. He actually went out there and did that in playoff scenarios when it mattered most. So again, when we talk about the defensive abilities of a Scottie Pippen, no one's ever denied Scottie Pippen is an all-time great defensive player. I've told you, he's arguably the greatest defender at that position. But to once again put the 1 through 5, this is LeBron James-esque nonsense. LeBron James is promoted as a 1 through 5 guy when we know it's a bunch of BS. He can barely guard his position. We all recognize what Scottie Pippen does defensively on the perimeter. No denying this. But to incorporate the power forward positions and the center positions traditionally, maybe in today's weak-ass era of NBA, Scottie Pippen could play all 5. I probably would not doubt that.
20K says, and thank you for the super, sir, or ma'am. Do you guys think the NBA will ever be enjoyable to watch again one day? I don't have that sort of positivity in my body. I just, no. No. I can't see the trend going. Like, Wemby is supposed to be our hope, and like he's even doing things that has sports and fitness rants going off on him. And that's the best that we've got. And they're still worshiping LeBron James, and the media is continuing to lie to people in order to push a script instead of push the actual game. No, it doesn't seem like anything good's happening. And when people continue to talk about player empowerment as a good thing, but we've never seen anything good come from it, we haven't seen anything good come from it. I'm not trying to say that I don't want players to be rewarded for their jobs, but player empowerment has created problems, in my opinion, and it's still being touted as one of the things LeBron did for the game. Well, then it's another thing that he did to destroy the game, in my opinion. Sorry, maybe I'm too negative, Robin, but I will be surprised if the NBA can turn it around.
I mean, hey, wait, you said a lot of real good stuff right there, and you spoke from the heart right there, man. You really did. And, a lot of times when we talk about a lot of this stuff, you can tell that we're coming from the place of true fans of basketball. I've talked about this before, right? And we understand that the players make the game. There's no game to turn on without the players. But I've also told you guys that the fans, we're the ones who make the league. There's no NBA without it being profitable from the fans. So if there was no money to be made in the sport of basketball, there would be no NBA league. There would just be a bunch of people out in the courts, out there in the parks, just playing basketball every once in a while. But because the fans come out, people watch this stuff. It's exciting, right? People support it. There's money in it. That's why you have an NBA. The fans haven't forgotten this stuff. I think the players have seemed to have forgotten where their money comes from and why they're supposed to be playing the sport, which is to be competing and for love. So until we get back to the players and the fans having that connection again, where the players feel and understand that the fans are part of the game and the game is fantastic. Remember, fantastic. Fantastic, not player-tastic. It was fantastic until we get the All-Star game back up to snuff. Until we get the young players coming up, maybe like a Victor Wembanyama with a sense of pride and a sense of loyalty to the game and a sense of, once again, respecting the history of the game and always mentioning these players in these interviews, not forgetting the history and stop promoting themselves all the damn time. Then we're not going to get back to this kind of stuff. As far as the NBA being what it once was, like the NBA that we remember, that will never be again, but that's okay. It's never going to be the golden era. Like I said, we talking about the golden era in films, right? But I still remember, the 80s and 90s when I was growing up. I loved the movies back in them days. So even though it wasn't maybe the 50s, the golden era of film, it was still great. I remember bodybuilding back in the day, right? The 60s, the 70s was the golden era of bodybuilding. I don't remember that. I didn't grow up during that time. But what I remember as a kid in the 80s and the 90s, watching and looking at some of these bodybuilding shows and watching some of this strongman stuff, it was still a great time. So again, it don't have to be the golden era, but what we need is the great players to be great, to have intangibles, to play with the love of the game, to show up to work, and to matter. That's what's going to lift the game up.
You know what I said during our last live that I think is worth repeating? When we were sitting there watching the garbage, when we were sitting there watching the ball barely get across half court and maybe one pass to another guy on the perimeter before it got chucked up to the rim. This is the type of basketball where I will walk away and go find another court to play at, because that's not basketball and you're not including your teammates. And the chess moves of everybody moving around until you trick the other team and the extra pass that catches the other team off guard, that's what made basketball fun. And a reminder to everybody, that's what basketball was supposed to be. You didn't have to be 250 pounds and 6'9" and play bully ball or have these dudes out there yelling, "Get in the gym." That's not basketball. What basketball was supposed to be. There's nothing wrong with being big and strong, but that's not supposed to be the core element of the game of basketball. It was strategic ball movement, and that ball movement was beautiful. And that lack of beautiful ball movement has made today's NBA ugly.
Right. You need that balance. That's a great way to put it. AOH. The balance of the game has been off. We talked about how weak the Eastern Conference was for so many years, right, versus the West. That's unbalanced there, right? That we talked about some of that. The way the game is played is unbalanced. You got guys and teams chucking 53s a game and they're making 15 of them. It's no balance there. So
Why'd people fall in love? Why'd people fall in love with the 2014, 2015 Warriors? It wasn't this revisionist history is just that, like, Steph Curry could make threes. No, the ball movement of the Warriors made them likable. And then they became unlikable because they were too popular. And, of course, the 2016 thing didn't help. But, I mean, were the Warriors not a joy to watch because of ball movement in those years that they were developing together?
That's a great point, AOH. And that's why Kevin Durant went there, right? He said he liked the way that they played the game. That was similar to the San Antonio Spurs, right? Steve Kerr came in with the San Antonio Spurs system stuff, right? Remember, the Spurs had great defense and what? Ball movement. They moved the ball and they took good quality shots. When we think about the three-point shooting, I mentioned recently in a video about the Phoenix Suns, and I mentioned how a content creator was bringing up the Phoenix Suns and what they did in the mid-2000s to tear down and call it gimmicky and saying that they would never win that style of game, and that's what they were playing, and that's what you see now, guys chucking up threes. And I laugh at this stuff because people don't know what the Phoenix Suns were doing in the mid-2000s was not chucking up threes. They weren't just chucking up threes. Anyone that remembers what the Phoenix Suns were doing with one of the elite all-time great point guards, we don't see anyone like that in the NBA today, no elite point guard or pass first guy like Steve Nash today. So when you talk about what the Phoenix Suns were doing, the Phoenix Suns were the number one team in three-point attempts, right, in the league in the 2005, 2006, and 2007. Number one team in three-point attempts. But they were also the number one team in three-point percentage for 3 consecutive seasons. So when you talk about taking three-point shots, they're making them. And why were they shooting such a high percentage? Because if you remember watching the Phoenix Suns play the game, when you had Steve Nash out there on the floor and you spread it out with shooters like Quentin Richardson and Joe Johnson, right? These guys are out there knocking down shots. Steve Nash himself is a knockdown shooter. You're getting good quality looks because a great all-time great passer is putting you in a good position to step right into these shots. And the Suns were not doing what we see today. Teams chuck a lot of threes, but they're shooting low percentages. That's the problem.
Kevin Durant is still listed as a game time decision. It's a fucking bruise. If you're playing or not. Does anyone else think this means anything other than he's not playing? Like, how could you possibly be a game time decision? The pain tolerance is one thing, but actually moving and feeling comfortable doing all the movements is going to be the biggest thing. Udoka said, "Shut up, Udoka." I've lost a lot of respect for him real fast. I think it was, I'm sorry, I forgot who it was. Bonnie, maybe. Somebody was, Go-Go Fly was pointing out Udoka's lack of coaching in that game. Lack of coaching. How can you possibly be a game time decision still?
It's so crazy to me how, like I said, think about it. We didn't even think he was gonna miss the first game. Like, we never even thought that was a possibility. Like, me and you, we plan a live show. We get ready for the live, and this guy's not there. And people who came to the live that were there when we started the live, they still couldn't believe that he was out of the game. So now you're talking about possibly missing another game. And remember what Kendrick Perkins said.
Based on comfort, Robin.
Yep.
Based on comfort, not the ability to play. Based on comfort.
Comfort. And remember, Kendrick Perkins said, if LeBron James beats Kevin Durant and the Rockets, he's the greatest player of all time. So what happens if he beats the Reed Shepherd Rockets? What does that make him?
I remember Kevin McHale playing on a broken foot.
Right, you know what's crazy? You bring that up. There's a lot of legendary stories you remember, right? Of some great players, maybe not even just in basketball, in other sports, and you're like, damn, how did this guy play like that? And how did he perform? Not only did he play, but he performed. I was just talking to my son the other day about Emmitt Smith and the shoulder injury that he played with, and he continued to play. So, we talked about Isaiah Thomas and the ankle injury, and you just mentioned what you said, like, there's different scenarios, Michael Jordan and, the flu game and different players that have done things that have come up big. Willis Reed coming out of the tunnel, right, and inspiring his teammates. How come Kevin Durant couldn't come out of the tunnel? How come he couldn't come out at halftime and be, you know what, guys? I'm coming out. I'm coming out the tunnel, guys. I'm coming out the tunnel. Where you at, Kevin Durant, to come out the tunnel? Now, granted, it's not the NBA Finals. I get that. But it could have been a similar scenario where the team thinks you're not going to show up. And at the last minute, you're like, yo, guys, don't front. Don't worry about it, guys. I'm here, man. Uno, nuno.
Yeah. Thinking about the stories to be told, like, I'm sure that Kevin McHale was in a lot of pain. And I think that the foot nagged him longer because he played on it. Yep. But let me tell you something. That's a better story. That's a better story than I sat out because of discomfort. We went out in the first round, and I wasn't even there for most of it because I was uncomfortable. Not a broken foot. Not a broken foot. I was uncomfortable.
Yep, uncomfortable. I told you, guys don't want to push through pain, discomfort. It's not going to be easy. You want to win a championship?
You're not even going to make it worse. You're not going to make it worse. It's a bruise. You're not going to be set back by playing on a bruise.
Exactly.
It's not going to hinder your career.
Yep.
It's not even going to stop you from healing. It's a bruise.
Exactly. And that's what makes you look. I mean, think about how weak Kevin Durant looks when you're hiding out versus LeBron James. I mean, that's laughable stuff, man. You're faking injuries, go against LeBron James? My goodness, that's sad.
Yeah. Well, and then, I don't know if I want to go this far, but you got to wonder with their buddiness if this is part of the plan.
If he sits out the second game, then you know that there's something else going on behind the scenes. This is getting ridiculous now because I said, you guys can't keep telling us how much of competitors you are. You keep saying this. And then we have these scenarios we deal with. This is lack of competitiveness at the highest levels. All right, it's the playoffs. You have how many years does Kevin Durant have left? 2 seasons maybe left in him? If that, I think he should have retired years ago, like LeBron James. But how much do you have left, dude? You should be out there trying to win a championship. It's never going to be easy to win a title. And this pain, discomfort you're dealing with, I mean, it's not going to, like you said, it's like, what are we waiting for? To be 100%? Yo, shout out to J-Bo Music, who comes through with the super. He says, didn't Karl Malone put a knot on Scotty's forehead? That was actually Alonzo Mourning in the 1997 Eastern Conference Finals. You guys remember, he clobbered Scottie Pippen with the elbow, and Scottie Pippen had that giant knot in his head. You guys remember, I think he missed game 5, I think that Scottie Pippen missed. But this was part of the NBA. You know, Alonzo Mourning wasn't ejected from the game for that. Nothing. It was a play-on scenario for Alonzo Mourning and everybody else. And remember, Michael Jordan said he took it personal, and they talked about how Michael Jordan huddled the team up before the next game and was like, yo, we're going to win this one for Pippen. But Scottie Pippen tells you that Michael Jordan never gave him just due, but he was so upset, and he took it personally that his boy Scottie Pippen took an elbow to the head, man. Weak stuff from Scottie Pippen.
Yep. And, I talked about X earlier. Wasn't X in Pippen's face and Jordan stepped in to defend him? Xavier McDaniel on the Knicks?
Right, exactly. It went nose to nose. Nose to nose, man. And that's what happened out there. But I'm trying to remember. But I remember Karl Malone, he hit David Robinson. I posted a video of that. And he put David Robinson to sleep. David Robinson was knocked out before he even hit the floor. All right, damn. Dropped like a ton of bricks. These are the kinds of things that were happening. Karl Malone didn't get ejected. It was they stopped the game because David Robinson fell down and they didn't know why. They were like, yo, what happened to David Robinson? The man was clearly knocked out with an elbow, and then no one even knew why, man. Today, Karl Malone would have been brought up on charges. They would have arrested him right there in the arena. Right there on the spot, they'd have put him in handcuffs.
I was just about to say the same thing. LeBron would get Malone arrested. He'd get him arrested before the game somehow, just so that he wouldn't even have to deal with it.
He would have load managed against guys like Xavier McDaniel. You think LeBron James is playing against a bad boy Piston 6 times a season like Michael Jordan was? You think he's going to go out there and get clobbered 6 times a year like a young Michael Jordan was? No, he's not. You're not going to go through this stuff. You never did in this era. You didn't. You ducked out on every chance. You ducked out.
I'm good.
I was about to say, I think we ran a little bit over your time there.
I'm going to go work out again. I think my lady's home too. But hey, everybody, it's going to be a disgusting game again tonight. And we just wanted to, I don't know, do a little precursor. I don't think I'm going to watch. I've got better things to do. I mean, that last one, I feel like I need my life back. But we appreciate you fans. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the supers. Yeah, no, we'll see. We'll see if this is my last year. Ooh, let's go speculate if it's going to be AOH's last year.
Man, you ain't going to damn place, man. Stop this nonsense, all right? Again, yo, shout out to all you guys.
Shout out to everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for real, man. AOH, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, man. I hope all you guys have a good rest of your night. Thank you very much for coming through. Like I said, we wanted to do an impromptu live stream. And once again, shout out to all you guys for coming through and contributing to the live stream, man. You guys know the deal, man. We'll catch you guys on the next one. My man AOH, I'll catch you later, man.